Hey guys, this is Julia and I have a very special video for you today featuring brand new stamps by Purple Onion Designs. I'm on the Purple Onion Designs design team. That's a tongue twister. And there is a new release called Snowflake Grove. And you can see I'm going to be using this super cute stamp called Fawn. And you can see some of the other images from this brand new release here that I'm showing you. And I'm going to start out by first die cutting a piece of watercolor paper. I'm using the largest frame from the Sunshine Layers die set by W+9, and it gives you this nice scalloped edge and stitching. I'm then grabbing a big flat brush that is just loaded with clean water, and I'm wetting the surface because I want to have a very, very light wash of watercolor in the background. At some point I got smart and I adhered this down with some painter's tape because I didn't want it to warp. I wanted to have control where the color went, and when it warps, the color just runs off to the side. And this keeps it a little bit flatter. And you can see here that I'm dipping some watercolor onto this wet surface. I'm using the Kuretake Gansai watercolors. You can use any watercolors that you have. You don't need a specific brand to do this. You can see that it's a very light wash here, and then I'm coming back with my flat brush and I'm wetting the inside of this oval that I've kind of drawn here so that the color will seep inside. I'm letting the water do the work for me. It just draws the wet color inside. Then I'm going on to the inside here and dipping some yellow color down. And I went a little bit more intense than I had intended. I only realized that afterward, but with watercolor you have to experiment. It lightens usually when it dries, so you have to figure out the right balance. And then I'm coming back with some aqua or mint color here to make the transition between the yellow and the blue nicer, at least nicer to me. And I want the colors to mix a little bit better. While this is drying, I'm going to stamp Fawn here, also on some watercolor cardstock. I'm using archival ink because that doesn't bleed when you use it with water. And now I've sped up the coloring process a bit. I'm using my Inktense pencils, and you can see that I've sharpened my pencil quite a bit. What I'm doing is I put down just the tiniest bit of color, and then I'm using a damp brush to blend this out. What I want is for Fawn here to look white, but I wanted to color her in at least a little bit. So you can see me here always adding just a tiny bit of color and then blending it out. And what I'm doing is once I've touched my brush to the color, I'm wiping it off to the side and coming back with a clean brush to blend out the edges with some water. And that's how you can create this very, very light wash that makes Fawn look white with just the slightest touch of gray. And I'm doing the same here to the ears, to the scarf, and then of course to the, what is that? That's holly, right? Holly, the stuff that you kiss underneath. Now I'm getting romantic thoughts. Anyhow, back to Fawn. You can see me here finishing the coloring. I always try to lay down some color, then going somewhere else, working on it while it's drying, and then coming back and applying another color. Now I've put Fawn aside, and I have die cut a few branches with a die by Casual Fridays from white water, again, same watercolor paper, not doing anything to it, just putting down some Tombow Mono adhesive, and I'm gluing it down onto my watercolor piece here because I want to create a wreath. And that's why I created this watercolor background so the white branches would have some contrast when I put them down. After I glued them down, I grabbed my a red Copic marker. You can use any kind of marker that you have. And I colored in some of these, I don't even know, leaves, berries, whatever you want to call them. I colored some of them in because I want to go over them with stickles. And I was worried that maybe the stickles wouldn't give me a good enough coverage. So having the background in a color that is close to the color of the stickles helped. So you can see me doing that here, and then I'm going to repeat the same process with the green stickles. I actually used a Stabilo marker to color in these green portions here, and then I'm going over this with the green stickles. And it's actually quite nice because they give a wonderful shimmer to the entire project. What I've also done is I've actually had my scan and cut machine by brother cut out Fawn for me, so I didn't have to fuzzy cut her, and I cut her out 3 more times, and then I glued those 3 pieces on top of each other, so I have it's like almost like an embellishment, a very solid a very solid piece of cardstock that I glued to the middle here of my wreath. And now, after I'm almost finished with the card, I'm just coming in with my Inktense pencils and I'm drawing in a bit more detail. I'm not going to use my water brush on this because I want these fine lines to be visible. It's just an additional bit of detail here that I wanted to add. And I did this to the scarf, and I'm also doing this to Fawn herself. Just a little bit fur, or the hint of fur, and what we did before served as a nice background. Here you have a close-up. You can see that it's actually a very dimensional cutout that I have here. You can see all the fine lines that I drew in. Here is a close-up of the wreath that I created myself with the stickles on top of it and some droplets by Pretty Pink Posh. And here is the final card with, well, also with a new sentiment from Purple Onion Designs. I hope you've enjoyed this card. I hope you check out the wonderful stamps that are now available at Purple Onion Designs. Links are always in the video description below, and I'll catch you again soon. Bye!